trying to coach 14, 15 kids at one time, dealing with the referees, dealing with the other teams. Like, there's a lot of things that come at you, and it's like, you really got to love the sport, honestly, to be the volunteer and just coaching for, I guess, for as long as I've done it.
Welcome to Ottawa and the Future of Sports, the podcast that looks at sports in Ottawa through the lens of development, community, and the future of the local sports scene. In this episode, we're joined by Cody McLeod, head coach of the Notre Dame High School boys senior basketball team, following a historic season that saw the program win its first ever OFSAA championship. We talk about what it took to reach that level, what made this team special, and what this kind of win means not just for the players, but for the school and the wider sports community in Ottawa.
First and foremost, congratulations to you and the team. My question for you, Coach Cody McLeod, is what did it mean for you and your team to win OFSAA?
It meant a lot. I'd say it meant a lot more for the kids in the school themselves, where this is the first championship ever for any sport for Notre Dame. But it was kind of a relief when we won it. There was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sweat, sometimes maybe some tears with injuries and whatnot. But I mean, we got through it, and this was actually a goal that we had at the beginning of the season, was to make it to OFSAA. Not necessarily to win it, but maybe to medal. But winning it, we can't really put it into words, honestly. It was a pretty surreal feeling when it happened.
Why not go in and say, we want to win it? Well, if you don't mind me, if I can press on that. I respect you're very humble, and I get all that. You're realistic as a coach, but why not say we're gonna go there and win gold?
I mean, always the goal is to win, but you kind of have to be realistic in a sense that sometimes too. Like, OFSAA is the best of the best in Ontario. It's not just a local thing. There's 20 teams that travel to one place. They won every division in their city or in their own small town, so that's where the best of the best play. So I think it's kind of not necessarily fair or realistic to say that we're going to go in and win. Obviously, we had a lot of confidence, but I feel like just the hard work that we put in was the biggest thing there.
Can you tell us a bit about that hard work? You mentioned, all the blood, sweat, and tears and so on. Give us an idea of what it means for these young athletes, and give us, obviously we're in a high school. How old are these kids? Where are they from in Ottawa? And contextualize it for us. Because when you say hard work, I mean, I can visualize, I think I know what you mean, but you give us examples.
So most teams, when it comes to high school basketball, so this is a senior team, grade 11, grade 12, they typically start, I don't know about every other school, but we try to start a little bit early. So probably around September is when we started. And even we had open gym in August in the summertime for kids to come out, just so I can kind of see what talent there is. And if kids want to, kids during the summertime, they're not necessarily playing sports or whatnot. Maybe they are, but they're a little bit rusty. So bringing them in just to see who's there. And then once I saw some of the players coming through and like how dedicated they were when the team hasn't even been made yet and asking so many questions and just being there, I knew that there was a good chance this year. Like, we've always been to OFSAA the last 5 years, but at the beginning of the season, I told them, like, there's a lot of talent here. We have bigs, we have guards, we have shooters, we have everything. We just need to put it all together, work together, and just go through and try to make a great season, which ended up happening in the end.
How did you foster that cohesion amongst this group of individuals? Did they know each other well? Like, how did you, as the leader, as the coach, how did you foster that?
So some of them actually do play together outside of school, which is a plus for us. So they already have built chemistry and whatnot. Some of them are really close friends. They play together at Michelle Heights, Boys and Girls Club, up in Bellevue. Like, they're all in these neighborhoods too, like Caldwell, Ritchie, Ramsey, Penny, all those areas. So a lot of them been playing basketball together for quite some time. But I've had that before in the past, but I felt like there's something different about this group with the discipline and how much they actually cared about wanting to win this year.
Can you give me another example as to why they were so emotionally invested? It sounds like, well, what was it about this year that you mentioned you could see it, and they were training in the summer before the official announcements of the trial. What was it about them? If you can give me maybe an example of one particular player or two, if you want to mention names, you don't have to.
For example, our captain, Crick, he's a grade 11. It's the first time I've ever had a grade 11 as a captain of the team before. Usually you want to pick the senior guy who's been there, know the system and whatnot from the previous year. But Crick and I would say Dylan, one of our grade 12s, they were very very consistent on asking our teacher supervisor if they can get into the gym early mornings every day to get up extra reps, like not even during practice or whatnot. So like when I heard that, I'm like, wow, they actually are trying to put in work outside of what we're trying to do as a team, which is great, which is a great thing. And thank thank God to Miss Rodriguez, our teacher supervisor, who would wake up early to come let them in the gym and just shoot around. I felt that made a big difference for some of them too, where everybody else is looking around. It's like, oh, these guys are putting extra work. Maybe I have to put in that work too to maybe get on the court more, or maybe just try and find other ways to win.
Fascinating. So there was buy-in from everyone, right? So you mentioned Miss Rodriguez. Pardon me. What do you know? What subject she teaches?
She's an EA here at the school, so she's not a teacher. She's an educational assistant there. Yeah.
And she showed up every morning to let them in and super.
Yes, yes. So she wouldn't start a day until about 8:20 in the morning, but she's waking up at 6 a.m. to be here for 6:45 to open up the doors to let the kids in to go shoot around. She's not really a basketball person. She just does it because just for the love for the kids have for the game, really.
That's incredible, man. Sometimes I think let's take a step back and look at the big picture. We kind of underestimate how people who are outside of the actual game itself play a real integral role, just by being there, being the official, legal person, the adult who can let these kids, I shouldn't call them kids, these teenagers, and everyone plays a part in it, and it's cool that you had buy-in, obviously, from the athletes, but also from members of the staff here at Notre Dame High School. Now, looking back, what did your team do really well during this run? If you could identify one or two things.
Would you say like for the season or for the provincial tournament, or maybe just as a whole?
Let's look at as a whole, but if you want to, look at both separately and identify that, I'd be curious to hear that.
So I think the commitment was a big thing. So years in the past, I've tried to have maybe 12 guys on a team, but it didn't necessarily work out when it came to practices because maybe 7 or 8 guys would show up, so we couldn't do a full 5-on-5. So then the last couple of years, I've been bringing it up to 15 guys just in case there was a commitment issue and we needed more guys to do 5-on-5. But this year, we didn't necessarily have that big of a commitment issue, so we had a lot more guys at practice, which is great. But I mean, I think the commitment from the start to finish was incredible. Honestly, it was very, very nice to see because we do practice a lot more than a lot of other schools. Like we practice at least 3 times a week, maybe sometimes 4. And then even Wednesday mornings, Miss Smith, who is our other teacher supervisor, she does fitness class with them at 7 a.m. before school on Wednesdays. So I find that did help a lot, like the discipline and all that. So yeah, it was it was great to see from previous years because it's kind of been a new thing here at Notre Dame, the commitment.
Now, what do you look for in a player? Obviously, winning OFSAA for this high school here is a big boost in morale. Yeah. Obviously, for these athletes, for the students as a whole, I would imagine, and also potentially for other sports programs here at this particular high school, and locally too. It is a big deal, and we should celebrate that. Pardon me. What do you, as a coach, look for in players during the tryouts and whatnot? If there's 3 characteristics that you kind of are requirements for you, Coach Cody McLeod, what are they?
Okay. One of them would be coachability. That's a big thing. You could be the best player on the team, the most skilled player, but it's like if you can't take constructive criticism or be able to be coached out of a timeout, out of practice, try to look at things from a different perspective than what you see on the court, then it might get you somewhere, but it's not going to get you to the furthest place possible when it comes to basketball, right? Hard work is another big thing too. There's been players that I've put on the team that haven't necessarily been the most skilled players, but they work the hardest. They're diving on the ground. They're getting the rebounds. They're doing all the dirty work that the other players don't want to do. So that's one of the biggest things too. And it's finding your role on the team. Not everybody's going to be the scorer. Not everybody's going to be the rebounder. Not everyone's going to be the passer. There's different roles on the team that people need to kind of find. And I can't necessarily pick that role for you. It's you guys got to kind of figure out what does the team need. And I found this year everybody found their role, even the bench guys. Like if the last guy on the bench, he'd be cheering on. He'd be one of the loudest guys on the court. Every time there's a timeout, he's hopping up, clapping, like shaking the guy's hands, whatnot, being just encouraging and positive at all times, which is great.
So this is all organic. This is all organic, the dynamics amongst the team. Devil's advocate, was there ever a situation generally where you had to step in as the coach in terms of that dynamic where maybe there was just tension, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's always going to happen. It's not ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be the ups and downs. There's been problems with the captain and some of the guys on the team before, but it's like at the end of the day, I'll let them deal with it. If it gets to a certain point where it's kind of getting out of hand, then I'll step in and be like, why are we going to fight each other? We're on the same team. We're on the same page. You guys leave the gym. You guys go deal with it. You guys come back. Try and make them shake their hands, hug it out, do whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're in this together until the very end of the season. And I find that basketball is just one of those sports where it's not just a sport. It also builds brotherhood, family. There's like so much that goes into it. It helps you with life skills. So it's like if you can't respect somebody on your team, what makes you think you're going to respect the opponent, respect the other coach, the refs, whatnot? So it all falls into play.
Thank you for mentioning that, and I have to ask this question because we're dealing with teenagers, right? Do you think they grasp the opportunity beyond just playing this great sport on the personal development side? Do you think for some of these students they fully grasp that, or is it something you think that they'll grasp years later? And I ask that because, when you're in your late teens, you're playing a sport, you're on the team, you're having fun, you're doing your thing, and opportunities open up. I mean, on one hand, it's like it's just being on the team, being away from potential activities that are not productive, and in fact counterproductive, extremely in some cases. Do you think this group of individuals, from your perspective, do they grasp that?
I think for the most part, I think majority of them do. Like I know I even had an old player of mine reach out not too long ago, actually around the championship time, and he kind of just thanked for like what coaches do for the students or athletes or whatnot. Just because he's like, when I was young and I was playing for you, he's like, you kind of live in the moment. You don't really realize to like appreciate what the coaches and teacher supervisors do for you, all the long hours they put in, driving them to games, driving them to practices, home, and doing all that stuff. So it's like I find later on down the road, they might look back and appreciate it a lot more, being on the team and being a part of something great at the school. But yeah, I find this year was just like, it was a lot different than previous years. Like everybody was just kind of bought in every single way possible, and they held each other accountable too. It's like when one person started to slack, it's like, no, you're not going to be that one person slack. Get up, lift your head up, don't put your head down. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's not worry about what just happened. It's like move on to the next play every single time. That was one of the things that we focus on, is just moving on to the next play. Stop worrying about the past.
That's incredible that they were that motivated. They held themselves accountable, and they worked collaboratively as a unit, as a team, because it's not an individual sport, right? It's a team sport. May I ask, you're a volunteer coach. You've been coaching, it sounds, for quite some time. Why do you do it?
For the love of the game. Honestly, for the love of the game. And it's like I think I was inspired by a couple of coaches when I was younger too. Like I used to play for the Bellevue team up in Caldwell. Coach Sean and Coach Turtle, they inspired me to be coaches too. Even Steve Kenny out at St. Joe's, he was a big inspiration to me when it came to coaching. Like my coaching style is, I'd say it's kind of old school. You don't listen, you get on the baseline, you run. It's kind of like that. But yeah, like those coaches impacted me in my life. So I kind of just want to return that favor to, I guess, a lot of the kids here who don't necessarily have, say, a role model to kind of look at. Because like I said, basketball is not just, to me, it's not just a sport. It's also a way of life. So how you carry yourself on the court is the same way you can carry yourself on your everyday life.
What's it like when you're volunteering so much time and energy? Quite, because it's a lot of energy, right? The time is one thing, of course, but it's that energy and bringing it all the time. Well, what's that like? Paint it for those who may not have any understanding of what that responsibility is like.
Oh man, it's been quite the coaching career so far. This is my full 11th season that I've done here at Notre Dame. Every year's different. Like I said, ups and downs and whatnot. It might not seem stressful to others, but it does get very stressful at times. Kind of trying to coach 14, 15 kids at one time, dealing with the referees, dealing with the other teams. Like, there's a lot of things that come at you, and it's like, you really got to love the sport, honestly, to be the volunteer and just coaching for, I guess, for as long as I've done it. Just because a lot of the things that you go through, especially with egos or whatnot on the team, like we've come across a lot of talented players, but there's a lot of egos to maintain where everybody thinks they should be the star player. But early mornings for practices, late nights. Well, I can't really say late nights. Practice start at 3 and then probably end around 5:36 in the afternoon. So 2 to 3 hour practice in the afternoon. If it's tournaments, that takes a whole weekend away from me. Like, I just had a newborn too, so this year is
Congratulations.
thank you. So this year has been kind of juggling both, and then starting work again in a couple weeks. So it's long, stressful hours at times, but it's rewarding. Like, I love doing it. Like, I feel great when the kids succeed. That's when, even when they fail, you try and find something positive that we could take from those games and build on it for the next game or the next season, which is, yeah.
And what's it like? So this is your 11th season, eh?
Yeah, just
How do you have you been documenting your time in terms of like, do you have a diary? How do you in terms of your own sort of as a coach and your evolution as a coach? You've had 11 season, 11 different teams. May I ask, how has your approach? You mentioned you're an old school. Your approach is old school. I'd like you to elaborate on that. I can appreciate what I think that means, but if you can elaborate on that, and if possible, as a follow up, how has your approach to coaching over 11 seasons changed, if it has?
So my approach I try to kind of keep it the same every year, but obviously, like I'm still learning. Like, I got kind of thrown into a coaching thing with no experience or anything. I didn't do any courses, no certificates. There was an opportunity here, and I just said I would help out. And then
What motivated you
me not
at that moment?
me not being able to play basketball. So I've had a lot of injuries in my past. Like, I think I was a pretty good player when it came to playing basketball. I loved playing defense. I love shooting. But injuries got to me. I didn't necessarily know a way to kind of not necessarily fulfill my dreams, but carry on with basketball in some sort of way. And then this got presented to me, and then it just it's just natural. Like, I think everything that happened in my life kind of led me to being this volunteer. People have asked me in the past, like, if I want to kind of go to competitive and coach there. I find that I don't know what it is about this school and the kids that come here, but I find like I've grown to love everything that it takes to coach at Notre Dame. And your other question was, sorry?
In terms of your evolution, over the seasons as you coach, you pick up on things, right? And you learn as you go along. You're maybe also reading to see what's out there, what's working, if it's in terms of team dynamics, personal, the dynamics, how to manage egos and et cetera, which is integral to that, but also tactically and strategically, what plays to utilize, et cetera.
So every year we try and go in with a defensive mentality. Basketball has changed and grown so much where there's so much scoring. Everybody's getting a lot more skilled, but I find there's defense is missing in a lot when it comes to basketball. So that's one of the main things that we want to focus on too. And then, of course, the whole running situation. We want to be able to have a team that's going to have the same energy in the first all the way to the fourth quarter into overtime. Like, we don't want to come into the fourth quarter, it's a close game, and we're being outplayed, out-hustled by the other team. That's one thing that we do not want to happen. So every year, I guess it's kind of a known thing here. When you come up to senior, we're gonna be running a lot. That's what we do, especially at the beginning of the season, just to get the rust off, get everybody moving, blood flowing. I always say at practice, if we're not gonna do stuff that requires us to get better as a basketball player, we're gonna become attracting, and nobody's gonna be able to keep up with us. So it helped us with the provincial tournament because we applied pressure the entire time. We pressed full court the entire game, like every game, the 5 games that we played, and none of these guys get tired. You go in halftime, you guys tired? Nope. this is what we worked for at the end of the season. So just hard work, defense, conditioning, those are the main things that we try to focus on, and everything will kind of fall into place after that.
Fascinating. I mean, it's so small. I don't want to. I shouldn't say small, but it's those things that really matter, especially as the game progresses. It's cardio. It's
Fundamentals too is what basketball's kind of been drifting away from. It's people want to cross somebody over 3-4 times before they go to the net, but it's draw a defender, kick it out to the open guy, maybe make an extra pass, hit the open shot. We're not looking to go up against 2 or 3 guys at a time. We want to move the ball around. We want to stay disciplined on defense, hands up at all times. Don't put your hands down to the side. People are so good at shooting now, so if you drop your hands down at one time, they're going to shoot. Always have your hands up. One thing I say to them too is, if I see your hands down at defense, that means I think you're tired, you're coming out the game. So that's one thing that they keep in their mind. Like we, at the beginning of the season, when we would play defense against, say, our starting 5 or whatever, I would get the defense to get pennies and hold pennies over their head. Pennies, yeah, like that you would wear on your shirt, or or a shirt, just hold it over your head while playing defense. So that's going to force you to move your feet and not use your hands a lot. So that's one of our defensive calls in a game. If you hear me say pennies, everybody's hands flies up in the air. So like that's one of the big things too.
interesting. Let's. I know you described one of the key themes. It sounded was commitment and buy-in from everyone. This next question is: how would you describe this team and its identity this season?
That's a great question.
The team, it's still the Eagles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're still the Eagles.
Right.
Identity. I just think we typically kind of biased, but I think we worked harder than a lot of other teams this season. Like there was not, maybe there might have been like 1 or 2 games where it was pretty bad, but even in our losses, like we never really lost by more than 10 points the entire season, and we lost 4 times, I think, this year. I think our final record, 5 times. I think it was 21-5. That was our final record through the whole season. So it was definitely the best season that we've had. So I think hard work and dedication is definitely the identity of Notre Dame basketball right now.
Speak to us in terms of the games that were played locally here in Ottawa. Were there people in the crowd? Was there a big turnout? Was there support that I know it's at the high school level, but I'm sure parents and friends. What was that at play?
So it's kind of different for every game, and depending on where you play the games throughout the season. So at our school, we don't have a spectator policy, so you can't necessarily bring fans in to watch unless it was approved by the office, or like sometimes they kind of sell tickets, I think, to come watch it. So it's kind of like crowd control. It's been like that since COVID, really. So a lot of the schools have like a spectator policy, but I mean, our last game against St. Pat's, which we lost in the quarterfinals, we had a gym full of people there. Like it was great to watch. It's very nice to see people come out, fans, maybe siblings, parents come out to support the kids, because a lot of the times when they're playing games, they don't have that support. So I myself and the teacher supervisors, we try and be as loud as possible and be as supportive as possible on the sidelines, just so we can kind of give them that positive energy, because we don't necessarily have too many fans. That's what kind of happened with the spectator policy. But yeah, it's just, I guess playing here was a lot different than playing in provincials, because they had a lot of fans there, and here we don't necessarily have a lot of people watching unless we go to a tournament to a school that has spectator policy. But it's different at every school.
Expanding on that, terms of the energy level from your team when there was during the playoffs, when there was this large crowd, how did it impact them?
I think for that St. Pat's game, when we had the big crowd there, I think it was impacted a little bit negatively and then positively at some times. The negative side was trying to put on a show for the fans, where we're kind of falling away from our game and playing the other team's game. Maybe
What happened? What prompted that?
I think it was a couple people trying to maybe win it for ourselves, because people do know St. Pat's is always usually one of the stronger teams in the city, if not the strongest team in the city. So it's kind of moved away from what we did the entire season, and then it was kind of an ISO game. Like if somebody didn't get the ball for a couple possessions, once they get it, they're not going to pass the ball. They're going to do a couple crossovers, shoot a long three, and then it's a long rebound. They're going down the other side of the court and scoring. So like there was a lot of selfishness in that game. But I mean, I think we needed that because that was our last game here. So I think we needed that loss to move on to the provincials, to know what not to do, which we won. So I think it helped. It helped a lot.
Fascinating. Let's go to OFSAA and lead us through game by game, key moments for you, if you could summarize each game and how and why you guys won.
Sure. So we were ranked second seed going into OFSAA. That was the highest ranking that we've had since we've been going. So when I saw that, I'm like, wow, we're ranked second. Like that's amazing. But now we need to go show them why we're ranked second. So that first game we played, I think we won by 43, I think it was. Obviously, because we played the last seed in the tournament. I mean, that team, every team there, like I said, they won their division where they came from. So you can't just go into a game thinking, oh, I'm going to beat them. We're going to beat them. There's no chance that they're going to win. We've had times in the past where we've walked it, not necessarily this year, but previous years, where we walked in a game like, yeah, we're going to win. These guys aren't better than us. We end up losing the game. So we can't have that mentality that we're going to win. Have the mentality we're going to win, but show and prove why we should be there. So that first game, we won by 43. Everybody got to get in the game. That second game, I think it was about a 30-point game, which was at the beginning of the game, it was pretty close in the first quarter. I think it was about 6 to 8 point differential. And then once the halftime hit, we got into the locker room, we discussed. Sometimes I won't necessarily talk to the team at halftime. I'll let them discuss what they think, because I want them to kind of think outside the box and like, what do we need to do to maintain this lead or catch up or win the game? Like, I don't always want to tell them, you guys got to do this, you guys got to do that. I would like them to think for themselves too at the same time, which helps out a lot because that brings them closer together. That gets them all on the same page rather than everybody just listening to what I got to say. You don't always want to hear what a coach has to say. I've been a player too. I didn't always want to listen to the coach at times, but I mean, coaches are there to help you. So I kind of just let them do what they got to do. Sometimes they spoke about it and they went on the court and that changed everything. Sometimes just a small conversation can uplift everything. That third game,
fascinating. Like you're almost like, as you're almost prompting them to take ownership of the situation, right? Yeah, that's really cool, man. That because I'm surprised to hear that. I was surprised in the sense that we tend to think of coaches as just yelling like in at the top of their lungs and almost like ordering people to do things.
I found that in the past, I kind of maybe did that sometimes, where it's like we're losing pretty bad. And it's like you go in there and you start yelling or you start saying like, you guys are doing this wrong, you guys are doing this wrong. But then I kind of, the last couple of years, I'm kind of like, maybe let me see if they can kind of figure it out themselves. They don't necessarily want to hear what we have to say, especially when you're in a tough moment. You just want to think, you just want to sit there, and it worked a couple times. So then now every so often, if they're getting so worked up on each other, I'm like, you guys figure it out. You guys deal with yourselves. And then me and my assistant coach will come in and then say the last few words, which it seemed to work out great this year. Yeah, so for that third game, I think that was our closest game of the tournament, I believe. That third game, I think we won by 10 points. Yeah, so we had a terrible first half, even though we were still winning. We led every single game that we were in, but that first half, we were not playing good. A bunch of turnovers. I think we had 7 turnovers in a span of like 3 minutes, unforced, just passing the ball and the ball flying out of bounds. And then people...
Were they nervous?
I don't think they were nervous. I just think it's one of those where it's like the confidence kind of got a little bit too high, where it's like we won those first 2 games by a margin of 70 points total, right? So it's like walking like, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. And then it's, a 3-point game at halftime or something like that. So then, and then people are starting to hang their heads, acting like we're defeated already. And now I'm just walking the locker room at halftime, I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are we hanging our heads right now? We're still winning the game. But it doesn't matter at the score when it comes to halftime. I'm always going, it's like, regardless if we're up by 10, if we're down by 10, you guys got to go into the half thinking 0-0, 0-0, go out. It's a fresh game. Forget about what happened that second half. Let's push forward. So yeah, we played a great game. Our star point guard, Ngar, got fouled out that game just after halftime. I think there was a minute into the third quarter, and then everybody on the team stepped up. I think people were kind of nervous when he got fouled out the game because he's really good at carrying our offense, and he's an exceptional player, like one of the best players I've seen come out of Notre Dame. But everybody held their own. They stayed on the same page, which was great to see. And that fourth game, semifinals, it was kind of, I think that's when the nerves started to kick in for a lot of the guys. But that was still a great game. I think we won that game by, was it 18? I think it might have been 18 we won that game by. It's kind of similar to the game before. Tough first half, but we overcame it in the second half. And then that championship game, that's when the nerves really started to kick in for some of them. Some of them said they weren't nervous, but you can just kind of tell on the look of their face that, yeah, it was there's a lot of nerves, but they overcame them for sure. And after that first quarter,
Tell us who you were playing against. Pardon.
we played Timmins in the championship game, who was the host of the tournament, and they were ranked first place. So first, second place teams going head to head at their school, hundreds of people in the crowd. Like I think that was something a little bit different to what our kids are experienced of. Just the amount of people that were in the gym, it was very loud. So I told them at the beginning of the game, you guys are not going to be able to hear me on the sidelines yelling at you guys. So you guys need to stick to your game plan. Stick to the game plan that we spoke about and just play your game. Trust each other. That's one thing that we spoke about before that game was trust. We don't want to have a repeat of the St. Pat's game where somebody's trying to do it all themselves. Trust your team. Let's focus on the defense and we'll worry about the offense. The offense will come to us. If we can get stops, offense will come. And then we ended up winning the championship by, I think it was 16 points that we won by, which, yeah, it was great. There was a point, the third quarter, we went on a pretty bad run, a couple turnovers. They scored a couple times. They called a timeout. And it's like, you would think the way that we were playing that we were losing the game. But then I looked up and I'm like, wow, we're up by 21 points. I'm like, wow, we're not even playing our game properly and we're up by this margin. That was the time where I'm like, we actually might win this. But I wanted to cut that out of my head right now just because, basketball is a game of runs. Anything can happen. Yeah.
Fascinating. Hey, when if you don't mind, like set it up for us, almost like you're writing a script for a film in terms of when you guys are in Timmins in the finals and the vibe and the energy. Timmins is Northern Ontario, yeah, and you're coming from Eastern Ontario. Was there kind of any of that local energy where they're like, hey, you? Wet Easter, you know what I mean?
Funny enough, you said that. So when we won that semifinals, I think the game was at 11. So there was a big gap between the semifinals and the final game. So we went to, I think it was a Metro that we went to, and the kids went inside and got their food and whatnot. And then I guess people working there were asking them, oh, where are you guys from? And they said, Ottawa. Like, oh, who are you guys playing? They're like, oh, we're playing Timmins in the championship game. And they're like, oh, you guys are going to lose. There's no way you guys are going to beat Timmins. And they're telling that to the team. And they're like, all right, you just watch. They were very, very confident in themselves. And I was proud to kind of see that too. But yeah, when they were telling me that that people in the city or the town were telling them they were going to lose was kind of funny to me, because then I'm like, they kind of ate their own words, right? We ended up going there and beating the host team, which was amazing because we did lose to Timmins. I think they hosted in 2023 or 2024. We were there and we lost to Timmins, and I think they ended up coming second place in OFSAA that year. So yeah, it was kind of our get back to get though.
Tell us about Timmins. What was their strength?
They were a big team.
Physically big?
Yes, physically. Like they had a few guys at least 6'5", big body, really good shooting team as well. But the thing that they couldn't keep up with us is our pressure and our conditioning. Like I said, we pressured them the entire game. So we wore them down by halftime. We're not even tired at all. And you can just see
even in the paint?
Yeah. So you could see they're red, they're sweating like crazy, and then our teams just kind of have the same demeanor. So yeah, I think the pressure and the conditioning is what really helped us out.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges the team had to work through this year? I know you mentioned, common sort of general, egos and whatnot, but if you could drill a bit deeper, because you had buy-in, you had this team, they were motivated, they held each other accountable. What sort of unique challenges?
So I would say the whole buy-in thing, it wasn't easy for a lot of the guys because some of the guys that were on the team last year, the rules changed this year because we're a lot deeper this year. Last year, it was can't say we're a bad team. We were a really good team last year, but this year we had 10 guys on the team who could really be starters for any other team in the city. So I think it was sacrifices was what a lot of them kind of struggled to do. And like I said before, was finding the role because it was new for some of them, right? And like a lot of the grade 12s this year that are on the team last year, in their mind, it's like I've already put in a year here, and then I deserve, I guess, to be on the court or get more time than that grade 11. But that's not necessarily the way that basketball works. You need to be bought in. You need to be on the same page. So it's like this. I think the sacrifices was the biggest thing, and it took a little bit, but I guess it came around at the right time. At the end of the season, that's when everybody actually started to realize we actually might be able to go somewhere and win something if we just make this small little sacrifice. Like, not everybody has to be a scorer, but find a way to impact the team. I always say too, if you can't, if you're not going to score on offense, or if you can't do anything on offense, find a way to not let me bring you off the court. That's in diving for loose balls, being aggressive on rebounds, boxing out, just doing those dirty things so I won't bring you off the court.
And for those, the team of sacrifice, it took them a while to process it. And how do you communicate that to these guys? Because I mean, they're at such a sensitive time in their lives. If you think back to yourself at that age, even myself, when you mentioned that, I'm like, good Lord, like, for example, being not benched deliberately, but not being given a minute on the court, it's impossible not to take that personal.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot with that one.
It's hard question to answer because, like me personally, when I played sports, I was never really on the bench, so I don't necessarily guess how it feels, but I do feel bad in the sense where it's like you guys want to be a part of a team, you guys want to make an impact, but it's like we got to be realistic. Like, are you making more of an impact than that next player that's ahead of you on the floor? Like, are you working harder than him? You just gotta be real with yourself. So I think it kind of took a little bit of time for people to realize that somebody's maybe doing a better job than me. But it could change any other game. Somebody might be having a great game this game, but then the next game playing terrible. So then he's gonna come off the floor, and somebody else will fill in that position. So it's kind of a tough question to answer.
So no, I appreciate that. And what do you take away from this season as a coach going into this new season? Because one of the things, like, you guys just won OFSAA, which is a major achievement for this school, and it's going to have an impact it has an impact on other sports and locally and so on. But for you as a coach, you got another season coming up. You mentioned that you're a dad now. You've got a little one, which is incredible. Congratulations again. What's it going to be? What do you take away from this experience going into this new season as a coach? What do you got planned?
So I think there's kind of a standard to follow now where it's like we know that there is potential to maybe win again. That we have a few returning players next year, but it's like you don't want to have that expectation. You don't want to have that expectation that, oh, we're gonna, just because we have 5 players coming back this year, that, oh, we're gonna win OFSAA again next year. That's not the way it works. We just got to be bought in from the beginning of the season. Have the same commitment, the same dedication, the same discipline, the same hard work. And if we can do that and just trust what we're trying to accomplish, then everything will just fall into place. That's all we need to do. We just need to go in with a positive mindset throughout the season and just work hard. Just work hard. That's what we need to do for next year.
In terms of contingencies and like, so this is the senior team, right? There's a junior team. Is there any communication between the junior coach and yourself? Is there do you guys share notes in terms of like, hey, this particular athlete here has potential, blah blah blah?
Yeah, so Mr. Johnson, he has been the junior coach. I'm not sure for how long now, but he came up to me at the beginning of the season, kind of gave me a rundown of some of the grade 11s that were coming up, and yeah, he was right, especially about there's one kid in particular, Ezra, one of the best shooters I've ever seen at Notre Dame, and he just said that he's a great shooter, but also his knowledge for the game is amazing. He just knows where to be, the right place, the right time, because he's not the fastest player. He's not the most athletic player, but he's one of the smartest players when it comes to being on the floor and puts effort in at all times. So, but I think next year, I don't believe he's going to be coaching juniors. So my assistant coach, Madawak, who is an alumni from here, actually, he's going to be coaching juniors while helping me with the seniors next year. So I think years going forward, where it's kind of going to work out where juniors are kind of going to learn the same system and it'll translate to senior. So that'll be good going forward.
In terms of the broader Ottawa basketball ecosystem, if it's college, if it's university, if it's professional, and everything else in between, is there much in terms of do you collaborate with some other coaches? Is there any of that sort of is there any networking or any strategizing for people who may not know much about the local? It'd be fair to say that Ottawa has a great basketball community.
Yeah.
But how much of that on the coaching side? Is there a lot of, do you guys, all the coaches meet and debate strategy? Is there such thing? Are you guys a bunch of nerds? Like, how does it, no, just joking.
Not necessarily. Like, I always like to do my research when it comes to basketball, different concepts that you can learn. Because, like, I'm not necessarily X and O's type of guy. I'm more of a read and react, where it's like, I don't want to give you a play. You got to follow the play to a T. It's not going to work like that. I don't believe in that. I believe in countering. It's like, if the defense is going to give you it, take it. Take it. The defense traps you with two guys, you know somebody's open, so you got to swing the ball. You want to move it to the other side of the court to shift the defense. There's just a lot of read and react that I like to teach. And it's like my assistant coach, he's more of an X's and O's guy, sorry. So we kind of gel really well together. He'll pull out the play. I'll be like, all right, this works, but if he does this, do that. Or you can do this. Just giving them different ways to kind of manipulate the defense, I would say. And as for outside, for like colleges and whatnot, a lot of the players, they play for competitive teams. Either they play Ottawa Elite, ONLX. There was some CTA guys that were on the team. So I guess they get more looks when they play competitive because they're traveling to Toronto, they're traveling to the States and whatnot. So a lot of the, I guess, college coaches go and watch them there. But I mean, when we go to OFSAA, there's always college coaches approaching me, asking me about players and whatnot. So it was, yeah, that's really where the networking would happen. I guess a lot of the players, they're always so focused on wanting to join a prep level team because you definitely get more exposure there. But I think they don't realize you do get exposure going to OFSAA and performing there as well.
Last question for you. What do you hope the players take from this experience this year, winning OFSAA and the journey they went on with you? What do you hope they take from the basketball, but also beyond?
I just hope they're better people now than they were at the beginning of the season. Like I said, basketball, it's not just a sport for me. It's just a way of life. So you can apply basketball skills to your everyday thing, your everyday lives. So I hope they never forget this moment. This is a historic thing for the school. They were a part of it. As much as they think that it might have been easy in OFSAA, as some people would say, it's really not. It's really not. It was a lot of hard work, and sometimes I can't even put into words how like proud I am of what they did. Like I'm still kind of not believing that we won OFSAA because nobody ever expects Notre Dame, small school from Ottawa, to go and win provincials. But yeah, I hope they can remember this for the rest of their lives, and in 10 years from now, we can have a reunion together and they can come back and we can be celebrated again for them winning. Because it's one thing to coach the team. Like, everybody's giving me a lot of credit for it, but I'm not the one that was on the floor executing everything. it was the players that won it. I might have had a little small rule, like controlling the egos, the lineups, and whatnot, but they did it. This was all them. We couldn't have done it without the players sticking together this year.
Fascinating, man. And what is the high school? How has the high school? Do they plan on doing anything to have they celebrated in any way? Is there anything?
So we took a coach bus to Timmins, and then we took a coach bus back. So we left Sunday, and we got back on Thursday, right when the bell is about to ring. The bell rings here, I think 2:55. So 2:50 we pulled up, and then we walked into the back doors, and the entire school was lined up in the hallway, just celebrating, congratulating. Some of the kids were taking pictures with some of the students, so it was kind of it was a great moment for them. And I think they're going to I think the school is going to provide them with maybe a championship sweater or something like that, just to show that they deserved it and they earned it. So
That's incredible. Thank you very much for this interview, and congrats to you and the team, and all the best in the new season. Maybe you guys will do it again.
yes, perfect. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Take care.
That was Cody McLeod, head coach of the Notre Dame High School boys basketball team, reflecting on a remarkable season and a historic OFSAA championship. It's a story about belief, growth, teamwork, and what can happen when a group comes together at the right time. This is Ottawa and the Future of Sports, hosted by Garmami. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who cares about local sports, athlete development, and the future of sport in Ottawa.